last session, I talked about the first mode that is important to know, which is the Ionian. It's the E major, and we talked about the idea of a tetrachord. We have 4 notes, and in the E major it's open 2, 4, 5 on the high E string, and then the same pattern from the 7th fret. And then I asked at the end of that session, that video, what is this if I'm playing the same pattern on the B string? Basically, we said that the pattern is the same for every string, meaning the name of the string, the name of the first note of the string, is the name of the scale or key. Meaning if you're playing a B using this same pattern, it's a B major. But what happens when you play the open E? Something really interesting happens, and someone already commented, which is the right answer. It's the Lydian mode. So if you're playing the B string as a major, but you're adding the low E as a drone, as the bass note, it becomes E Lydian. Now, what is Lydian? Instead of just going into what the notes are, I think it's good to visualize it and be more intuitive, find a more intuitive way to understand and learn it. So if I'm going to take the tetrachords of the B major, right, this is the first tetrachord, meaning open 2, 4, 5, or again, whole, half, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret. And I know I'm starting with the note B, so it's good to know where another B is. For example, on the 7th fret of the high E. So this is identical, right? Open 2, 4, 5 on the B string, 7, 9, 11, 12 on the high E. And here's another interesting fact about the way the guitar is tuned. Most strings, it's 7 frets up. Or simple math, if you're not sure if you need to count the fret or not, you do +7 next string. So open B equals +7, 7th fret of the high E. Okay, so it's the same note, different octave. So that would be a really cool way again to find the notes quickly, those simple maths. And I want to give you another one, because if you have an open B and you play the 12th fret, it's the same note, B. And if you want to find the same note on the next string, the one that is lower in terms of looking it down towards the floor, you do -5. Okay, so open B +7, 7th fret of the high E, or B 12th fret -5. Okay, it's kind of good to visualize this kind of a long triangle or something like that. So from that B, again we have the same tetrachord. And let's talk about the next tetrachord that happens in the B major that turns into E Lydian. Hopefully it's not too confusing. I will try to make it as simple as possible. So the next few notes on the B major is the same shape of same pattern of the major, which is 7, 9, 11, 12. Again, same tetrachord of 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret. Whole tone, semitone. Whole, half. So again, using the same kind of method, if you want to find these notes on the next string, right? 7, -5, 2. Okay, so that will be the same note on the next string, high E string. And if you just without even understanding what I'm playing, I'm going to use the same tetrachords. Yep. I've got the same scales, but because I'm playing with an E, it's slightly different, right? Because I'm playing with an E alongside the bass note of E. And I'm playing the E Lydian. I hope that makes sense. It's tricky to remember, but basically you can maybe just remember this: B major equals E Lydian. And you can make those kind of calculations, which I don't really like. And some people have a more mathematical brain than I have, and they are really good with this. I prefer to do it in a more simpler way, which is what I'm going to do now. So what do you do if you take the notes? I just played E major, E Lydian. There's only one note difference. The 6th fret in Lydian instead of 5th fret major. So that's it. Okay, so this is a very technical but essential, I think, way to understand. Okay, so you have essentially 2 modes that are within reach very easily. And when you look at the guitar horizontally, it will make much more sense, like looking at the keyboard of a piano, just a keyboard, in a horizontal way, and it makes more sense. So by knowing Ionian, changing one note, it becomes Lydian. And now let's talk about the Lydian. Okay, so this is technical, but let's talk about the emotional aspect of the mode, because that's the idea. Mode is a type of mood. What is Lydian? Different, right? It's like at the beginning it's kind of weird, and there's something ethereal about it that I really love. And you kind of hear tension that you resolve, and it's very, very, very unique. It has something that I personally like, many others like. For example, Joe Satriani created this Flying in a Blue Dream guitar piece that is based on the Lydian, and Steve Vai has also lots of Lydian. And, following them and others, I really love the Lydian as well. I created also guitar pieces with the Lydian. It's such a interesting and powerful thing. And again, that's the idea. So you just change one note, you get to another mood. And the cool thing is, again, you can go from one to the other. And this is, I think, where the magic happens. Both of them are called major modes. The first one is like a major scale, Ionian. The second one is a major mode, Lydian. And again, because it's just one note difference, they share 6 notes in total, and one of them is different, meaning you can actually combine the 2 together. I mean, you can do it regardless, because it's something called passing tone, when you pass through the note. But you can also jump from one mode to another very, very quickly, without making it too much of a drastic change. Right? There's not much difference between them. There is difference, but when you go from one to the other, it just makes sense. And okay, let's talk about the pattern now of a Lydian that you can duplicate to all the other strings. Again, looking at it horizontally. So we said we have the tetrachord that begins with the 2nd fret, whole, whole, half. And from the 7th fret, whole, whole, half. Meaning this note E, open, is the added note. Meaning you have the E, tetrachord, tetrachord. And in this case, the tetrachords meet in the same point. 2, 4, 6, 7. And from the 7, you play the next one. So that's the pattern. Or we could just call it by the fret numbers. Open, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12. And just by copying it to the B string, then you can create the B Lydian without even understanding what you're playing. beautiful. After playing a lot of E, then you go to a B and you play the B Lydian. Again, that's really interesting. So here's a cool idea, right? So you can play the E Lydian and then the B Lydian. I mean, it won't really work with an E. I mean, actually it does work, but they might clash if you accent a few notes, although if you play them a little bit quickly, you can get by. Okay, let's talk about the other Lydians. So again, the same pattern, open 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12. And the cool thing is, you know, it's the same pattern, a different scale, but because the strings are different, the notes are different, it has a different mood, right? This is kind of bright, this kind of more serious. And as we go up towards the ceiling, the D string, more dark, A, Lydian, and lastly the E. And let's talk about, again, the main feature of what the Lydian is. It's like a major scale or major key, and I can call it now the raised fourth. Meaning you raise the fourth note. If you play that E, 1, 2, 3, 4, and even without understanding what the notes are, although it is important to know, maybe later, you just raise the fourth note, semitone. So you can call the Lydian a major scale with a raised fourth, or Ionian with a raised fourth. And it's really, really cool to go, and this is something called parallel. You go in parallel, you have the same, let's say this is G, this is that tonic, the center, the tonal center of the scale. And from the G, you can go parallel to kind of like parallel universes, parallel worlds. The world of Ionian and the world of Lydian. And that's basically it. I wanted to cover every video with just one mode. Okay, the first one was Ionian. This is Lydian. And the next one will be on another major mode. Maybe you already know what it is. So this, again, method is not what I hear 90% of the time when I ask people what modes are, and they say, yes, C, Ionian, D, Dorian, and so on. That's one way of looking at it. This is something called relative. And what I've done today is a parallel approach. And I'm going to continue the parallel approach, and I can explain more about the relative. If it will make more sense as we go along with the parallel. You can imagine parallel universes. And that you can quickly jump from one to the other. So, thanks for commenting. I can see a comment here. Frank Zappa utilized Lydian often. Thank you, Joe. Yeah. Many others, you know, if you know it, you know it. Film composers as well. That's it for now. I don't want to do it too long, and you can watch the previous video. You can wait for the next video next week. You can subscribe if you want. If you like this kind of content, I also upload the short videos with other things, mostly about creativity, something I really love, how to be more creative, expressive, how to create music, compose music, improvise, you know, the good stuff. So thanks for watching, and create great music.